Hey, how you doing? I hope you're having a good day wherever you are around the world, whatever time it is. I hope you are. I genuinely do hope you are having a good day. Today I want to talk about the topic of talking to camera. This weird activity of communicating to a lens with a microphone in your face, staring into the deep nothingness that is the barrel of a lens, and coming across like you're not completely insane, or at least closer to the way you would normally communicate to people. But I am far from perfect at it. In fact, I find it really easy to talk to camera in this environment. This is an environment that I'm comfortable in, with my light set up, with my camera, with no one around to distract me, no one around to point or laugh at me. It's just me and the camera and nothing else. What I don't find comfortable is vlogging. I find it really awkward. I find it really uncomfortable. I've always found it uncomfortable, but through these tips, I've gotten a little bit better over time. So I figured what better way to show you guys how to talk to camera better than by throwing myself in the deep end and going out and talking to camera in public. So today I'm going to give you guys a couple tips that I've learned over the last 12 to 18 months that have helped me just get a little bit more confident in front of camera, act a little bit more natural and not act like someone's standing behind the camera pointing a gun to my head telling me to make this video. I'm rambling now. Let's just get into today's video. The first tip's pretty straightforward. It's probably one you already know but don't necessarily put into practice, and that's practice. Practice makes perfect. Do it more often. Pick up the camera and try to make something as often as you can. Because every single time you get an opportunity to practice is another opportunity to get more and more comfortable with the camera. Also, don't feel like you have to post everything online. Not every video you make has to go online. I made heaps of videos early on that never made it to the internet. I think I made like 5 or 6 daily vlogs that just no one ever saw because I didn't want to put them online. I was really awkward the first one I even posted, so I don't even want to think about how bad those first ones were, but it made me comfortable. So if that means just getting your camera, picking it up, and not even hitting record, just holding it in front of you and getting used to talking to a lens, because this is unnatural. It's weird. My neighbors are probably watching me right now thinking, what the fuck is this guy doing? It's awkward. It's weird. So take as many opportunities as you can to practice, because it is a learnt skill. There's not really anyone who's comfortable talking to camera at first. We're all pretty crap in the beginning. Practice often. Don't leave too much time between practices. Don't give that nervous energy an opportunity to come back. Don't leave rust an opportunity to come back. Don't leave too much time between practices. So practice is the first one, but practice often is the second one. If you work out once a month, you're never, ever gonna get anywhere. But if you work out every single day, and those workouts are okay, say 20 to 30 minute workouts, then you're gonna get somewhere. And it's the exact same thing with this. It's like if you pick up the camera every single day and make something, it doesn't matter what it is, it comes back to the idea of not everything you make has to go online. If you pick up the camera every single day and make something, then that's better than nothing, and that's practice. I can't remember who the author was, but he essentially said that the way to become a better author is to write 200 shitty words a day. And I think that's something that you can implement into filmmaking and being a YouTuber, is make your 200 shitty words a day. Do that every single day, and I guarantee you'll get better. The other benefit to the 200 shitty words a day strategy is, say some days you're gonna get out and you're gonna do your 200 words and they're gonna be average. They're not gonna be any good. You're gonna get them out and you're gonna be like, well, I'm glad I got them out, but I'm not gonna use them. And then some days you're gonna get your 200 shitty words out and they're going to be amazing. And you're gonna end up doing 200 more words and then 200 more words and then you got 1,000 words and then you got a video and then eventually you've got your masterpiece. Some days you're gonna be really good and some days are gonna be average, but as long as you do it consistently, it's gonna work. So let's set a tangible goal. A tangible goal from this video is I want all of you, if you are interested in doing this sort of thing, is to put 200 words in front of a camera every single day. You don't need to literally count, let's say 5 minutes. 5 minutes will get 200 words out. And do it every day, and I promise you it'll help. How's that look? Does that look good? I don't know, because I shoot on a 1DX and it doesn't have a front-facing camera. So this is the process of how I frame my shots. I hit record, and then I stop record, and I hope it looks good, and then I record again. This is why I like recording in my room, because it's just a fuckload easier than doing this shit. The next tip is one I got from Mike, or North Borders, as I'm sure a lot of you know him as. And he gave me the advice very early on when we became mates of treat the camera as if it were a specific person. So treat the camera as if you're giving advice. If you're doing a tutorial or you're doing something like this, treat the camera as if it's a specific person in mind. Like I mean an actual friend, someone you know, someone you've worked with, another filmmaker, just someone who sent you a message on Instagram. Whoever it is, treat the camera as if it's a very specific person, because then you can begin to talk to this person as if it were that person, and suddenly the camera doesn't become so intimidating. And the advice you give is more specific to that person. Because the reality of the situation is, if you're giving advice to one person, and that advice is very specific to that person, we're not too dissimilar to each other. We're all pretty much the same. We've got our unique, different things, and our talents, and the way we look, and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're all pretty much the same. And if you break it down into a niche, well then it's even more specific. Treat the camera as if it were one person that you know, by name, by face. Think of that person when you're talking to the camera. One, that'll make your advice better, because suddenly that advice is talking to someone you actually know, and it becomes like a conversation at a party over a beer, whatever it is, rather than talking to a camera trying to pretend it's a massive audience of people. Because that doesn't matter. It's something I still need to practice a lot. I need to remind myself of it every time I hit record. But you know when you have those moments that really click? Like you have those moments where everything sort of makes sense all of a sudden? That was a huge one for me. So, and probably why Mike's so damn charismatic in front of camera. I hope that one was worth it, because my ass is really wet now. Great, I gotta spend the rest of the day with wet jeans on. Fantastic. The next tip number, what are we up to? Completely lost track. Tip number 4, I think this one is. Tip number 4. Tip number 4 is another basic one, but one that really helped me early on, and that is have somewhat of an idea what you're going to talk about before you pick up the camera and hit record. Having a bit of an idea of what you're going to talk about before you start talking to the camera is what's going to take you from awkwardly bumbling around, not really knowing what to say, to I have a direction. It's like, it comes back to the thing I talked about a couple videos ago about setting restraints and not experiencing the blank page. Finding a way to not come across the blank page, because looking into a lens with no direction as to what you're going to say is essentially a blank page. It's the same thing as writer's experience. It's the same thing for every other form of art. It's a blank page. Having a little bit of an idea of what you're going to say before you start talking to a camera is going to help you so much. If that means going into your notes app on your phone, writing down a video idea, and then having 3 or 4 dot points there so you can quickly read them before you hit record, know what you're going to say it, and then go back to your notes. The other part to this one, we'll call this one 4.5, is talk about topics that you're confident in talking about. If you set up a camera and you try to talk about something that you aren't actually that knowledgeable on, or you're not that confident in talking about, well then that's not really going to work well, is it? Because you can barely talk about it when you're not talking to a camera. Talking to a camera is just going to make it way worse. You should always try and make your videos about topics that you're actually interested in, that you're passionate about, that you're knowledgeable about. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable person ever. You just have to be better than a beginner. Because that's who you're making your videos for at the end of the day, is people who want to start doing what you're doing. The next one has been absolutely massive for me, and that is figure out what works best for you, and don't be afraid to work to your strengths. When I first started out, I hated vlogging. I still do. Going out today makes me really uncomfortable, but I know I need to do it because it makes me uncomfortable, and that's going to make me better at it in the long term. But when you're starting out, jumping straight in the deep end might not be the best idea. Maybe you're someone like me who talking a camera like this in a setup like this is what works well. I'm my most comfortable when I've got my camera set up, I've got it linked to my computer so I can see what the framing is, I've got my microphone here and everything is locked in. The lighting is specific, everything is planned and organized. This is when I'm my most comfortable to create. And maybe that's you. Maybe you're a similar type of person. Maybe you don't enjoy that as much in the beginning. Become a YouTuber and make your first few videos in a space that you're comfortable in. Creating in this environment where I'm my most comfortable, I'm my most creative, I'm my most me I can possibly be, then it's so much easier for me to pick up the camera and head outside and create something. because I've already learned how to talk to camera in here. I'm really not that super loud YouTuber character. That's not me. That's never been me. I don't think it ever will be me. So I'm more comfortable creating in here. So don't be afraid if you're a little bit shy in front of camera. Don't be afraid if the idea of vlogging makes you sick to your stomach. Create in a space that you're comfortable in. Create in your bedroom, in your office, in your home, in front of someone you trust, until you're capable enough to talk to camera in a space that you're uncomfortable in. The last thing I want to leave you with in today's video is don't be afraid to be a little bit shit. Don't be afraid to be awkward in front of camera. Don't be afraid to just feel generally uncomfortable making YouTube videos in the beginning. This is very unnatural, but the only way you're going to get better is by practicing. And you can get better. This is a learnt skill. This is something you can get better at. So don't be afraid to get out there, challenge yourself, make yourself uncomfortable, put yourself in positions that make you tense up inside and not want to be there, because those are the moments where you're going to grow the most. If you have enjoyed this video, or if you've enjoyed any of the videos I've been putting out on my channel lately, I would really appreciate it, and it would help me out a lot if you could like and subscribe. But as always, all of that is entirely up to you, and I'll see you guys next time.